Wow, when you said you wanted to explore the cutting edge, you weren't kidding. Smartphone apps in ophthalmology, that's what you send over. Talk about the future knocking. We're diving into mHealth today.
Health.
That's mobile health for those of us like me, still getting used to the lingo, haha. But really, how are these apps changing things?
Well, it's bigger than just telehealth now, right? It's
You're
putting
right.
powerful tools into the hands of patients and us, the practitioners. A whole new frontier, really.
You're spot on with that. This research paper, Clinical Utility of Smartphone Applications in Ophthalmology, a systematic review, dives right in. Get this, 2017 already. Over 325,000 mHealth apps existed. I don't even know that many things, let alone apps.
And that number's just exploded since. What's fascinating is this shows how much momentum mHealth has, especially for ophthalmology. So much depends on visuals and access to care, right?
Okay, before we get lost in the App Store, how'd this paper even tackle the topic?
Good question.
They did a systematic review, meaning they analyzed data from a ton of studies, 71 articles, 48 different ophthalmology apps. No cherry-picking success stories here.
Exactly. Gives us a way more complete picture, hopefully unbiased. Not the shiniest app, but the true potential and the limits of this whole thing.
So what can these apps do? The research breaks it down a few ways. First up, apps mimicking or assisting traditional exams. Imagine like visual acuity tests, but on your phone.
Right, and that's huge for folks in remote areas or trouble accessing regular care. Could bridge that gap, make sure more people get at least basic eye care.
Mini ophthalmologist in your pocket. But some apps go further, trying to detect eye conditions. Apps that might spot early glaucoma, macular degeneration, things like that.
And early detection, that's crucial for so many conditions. Catch it early, better chance of slowing it down, preserving vision. You know how important that is.
Absolutely. And that leads to another category apps for us, the medical pros. Apps helping with diagnosis, surgical planning.
Oh, like having a high-tech, what's it called, protractor right on your phone during surgery.
Exactly. Or telemedicine consults, all sorts.
These could really boost how efficient and effective our care is. More collaboration, potentially better results for everyone.
Amazing to think about. Of course, no health talks complete without patient education, right? Helping folks understand their conditions and stick to treatment plans. Apps for that, too.
It's one thing to get a diagnosis, another entirely to manage it day to day. These apps can be really empowering for patients taking control of their eye health.
You've got that right. Now, someone listening might be thinking, this all sounds great, but do these apps work? Well, that's what the researchers wanted to know. And the good news is,
most of the apps they looked at showed real promise. Good accuracy, potential to be clinically useful. Seems like we're onto something here.
that is encouraging, but I'm guessing it's not all perfect in smartphone ophthalmology land. Any caveats, limitations the research found?
Oh, for sure. While a lot of apps showed potential, hardly any have formal approval from the FDA or similar bodies yet. Early days, hurdles to clear before widespread use. We can't overpromise and underdeliver.
Makes sense. Like with any new tech, gotta temper the excitement with rigorous testing. Speaking of which, they found something interesting for paid apps tended to be better on sensitivity compared to free ones. And just so our listener knows, we're talking about how well the app identifies people who actually have the condition.
That is intriguing. Could mean better quality control for paid apps, more resources behind them. But we need more research to know if that's a consistent pattern.
Right, because cost, who can access what? That's a big deal as this tech grows. We don't want only those who can pay extra getting better care because of an app.
Exactly. And that leads to a critical point from the review. We need guidelines. As more apps pop up, the medical community has to be on the same page about integrating them responsibly.
So best practices, not just if they work, but how they fit into how we already do things.
Precisely. This field's changing fast. Clear guidelines are essential. Patient safety, data privacy. Those have to be top priorities.
Which makes you wonder, what are some specific apps out there and what do they tell us about where this is all headed?
It's like a sneak peek into the future of ophthalmology. Some apps are already making waves, others hint at what's possible.
Well, let's take a look, shall we?
It really is like peering into the future, isn't it? One app that caught my eye, pun intended, I guess, ally, helps macular degeneration patients track if their vision's getting worse between visits.
Oh, that's fantastic. Putting the power in patients' hands instead of waiting, potentially losing time, they're alerted if something's off.
Early detection is key, like we've been saying. Then there's Go Check Kids. This one's about catching amblyopia risk factors early in kids.
Yes. And that's so important because with amblyopia, early intervention is everything. Could this be used in schools, do you think?
That's the idea. Imagine screening kids' vision just using a smartphone could be revolutionary, more accessible, earlier diagnoses, hopefully better outcomes down the line.
Wow, a whole new era for eye care right at our fingertips. And it's not just patients. This research talks about apps supporting us, the medical pros, too.
Absolutely. Eye axis check, for example, helps align to toric intraocular lenses during cataract surgery. High-tech protractor right on your phone.
Okay, now that's just cool.
Yeah.
Heck, even in those super precise surgical moments, amazing.
All about improving accuracy, leading to better results for patients. That's the goal. And for those complex cases, there's an app using AI. Helps with diagnoses in neuro-ophthalmology. Neurology DX, it's called.
Neurology DX. So, like, having an AI consultant on your phone chiming in during a tough case.
Basically, yeah. Imagine a second opinion from this program that's analyzed tons of similar cases. Helps guide your thinking.
Incredible, especially for doctors in underserved areas, or if it's a rare condition, they might not have a whole team of specialists on hand. This could really level the playing field knowledge-wise.
Exactly, and this is just the start. As this tech gets even better, the possibilities are, well, pretty much endless.
It's exciting, but with all this talk of medical info AI, it makes you wonder about the ethics, right? Patient privacy, data security, those are biggies.
You're right to bring that up. Absolutely, conversations we need to be having alongside all the cool tech. If it involves patient data, security, privacy, those are top priority.
So what does that look like in practice? How do we make sure these apps are handling data responsibly?
Starts with strong regulations, guidelines, making sure these apps meet the highest standards. Encryption, secure storage, and huge one transparency.
Transparency is so important. Patients got to know how their info is being used, feel confident about it, builds trust.
Precisely. And part of that is being upfront about what these apps can't do. Exciting as they are, they're not replacing seeing an ophthalmologist, right?
Right. We don't want people self-diagnosing just from an app or delaying needed care because they think it's a cure-all.
Exactly. Finding that balance is key using tech's power. But the doctor's role in personalized care, that's irreplaceable.
Couldn't agree more. We've talked excitement, potential, and some real concerns. But let's loop back to the research itself. Big picture, what are the key takeaways you see?
One thing that jumps out is just the sheer speed this field's changing at. Number of apps, how advanced they're getting. It's moving fast.
Like watching a whole new medical landscape unfold in real time. But as you said, it's still early days. Need more research to really know the long-term impact of these apps.
Absolutely. You need to go beyond those initial findings, see how these apps perform in the real world, how they affect patients long-term, and how to integrate them into how we already work in a way that helps everyone, patients and us.
So we've got this huge potential upside, but also some real challenges to navigate. What does this all mean for the future of ophthalmology? What should our listeners be thinking about as they see these technologies pop up in their practice?
It's the million-dollar question, and I think it comes down to a few key things. First off, staying informed. This field is changing so rapidly, practitioners really need to keep up with the latest advancements, research, the best ways to incorporate this technology.
So reading journals, going to conferences, even setting aside time to see what's new in health ophthalmology.
Exactly. It has to be an ongoing thing. The second thing, and this goes back to what we talked about before, is communication is key. Talking to patients, listening to their concerns, educating them about these technologies.
Right, because when patients understand the benefits and the limitations, they can make informed decisions about their own care.
That's it. It's about building that trust and making sure technology is bringing us closer to our patients, not creating distance. And last but not least, I'm all for cautious optimism.
Cautious optimism, I like that. So seeing the potential, but staying aware of the challenges, the possible downsides.
Exactly. We have to be thoughtful, ethical, always focused on what's best for the patient. This isn't about replacing doctors. It's about giving doctors better tools.
That's such an important point. We're seeing a revolution in eye care, but it has to be guided by careful thought, collaboration, and always putting the patient first.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive, but it feels like we're just scratching the surface of this fascinating field.
We are, and that's what makes it so exciting.
It really is. So to our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep asking those important questions. And remember, whether it's on your smartphone or in your practice, the future of ophthalmology is in your hands. Until next time, keep those minds curious.